Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry for the long intro, I was a bit busy, as you can see. I think it's time to deliver on some sub goals, eh? Yeah, a guy named Bannerlord gifted 100 subs, and if you give the 100 subs, you can unlock a deep dive. And today's deep dive is the future of air warfare, man. I'm actually delivering a sub goal. I have a great script that I totally made myself. Let us take a look at what's going on here. This is gonna be a long one. Let's enjoy it. What emerging technologies do we see lately? And what do we see also really used in, for example, Pakistan, India, Israel, or Ukraine? That is something we shall talk about. Let's start with a little introduction video called this one. Welcome to Tommy's channel. What the fuck? I got this suggested from ChatGPT.
Lockheed Martin is transforming the future of air combat by pushing the boundaries of how
Looks like a lot of AI content today.
Fighter jets and autonomous systems work together in contested environments. On January 22, 2025, the company released major updates showcasing innovations throughout 2024.
One little side question. I used to be invested. Lockheed Martin stock. I think they're doing insanely well. I used to buy them at 200. Yeah, I had them at 200. Ay.
With a particular focus on enabling US-made fighter jets like the F-35 to control drones. This initiative is a key part of the U.S. Air Force's ambitious collaborative combat aircraft program, a critical element in their strategy to dominate the skies in the coming decades.
Oh, it's like you have a jet and it has like a drone swarm around it? It's kind of insane.
Breaking project designed to integrate semi-autonomous drones with crewed fighter jets. These drones, dubbed loyal wingmen, are built to enhance the capabilities of fighter jets, providing flexibility in complex combat scenarios. Whether operating
that's like attacking a jet and he has just AI drones around him. That is some future
or as part of a coordinated. Lockheed Martin's tests throughout 2024 have proven the ability of the F-35 to control these drones in real time.
They already tested this.
The F-35, one of the world's most advanced stealth fighters, now serves as a central hub, managing the operations of these autonomous drones. By directing drones to perform surveillance, suppress threats, and carry out electronic warfare, the F-35 allows human pilots to focus on higher-level strategic decisions. Lockheed Martin's tests have demonstrated that the F-35 and drones can communicate seamlessly, with AI-powered systems enabling real-time decision-making and coordination. This allows pilots to focus on broader combat objectives while the drones handle specific tasks in flight. This technological leap is central to the U.S. Air Force's vision of a connected, multi-domain network. In the future, manned and unmanned platforms will work together to maximize mission success. As technology evolves, this game-changing technology ensures that the U.S. will remain at the forefront of aerial warfare, ready for the most complex and high-stakes combat scenarios in the future.
But we have a beautiful article here that we're going to look into for a second here. The Future of Aerial Combat, written by the one and only, well, Sky Combat Ace himself. Let's take a look. Aerial warfare promises a thrilling mix of advanced... Is this a video game? Is this guy like celebrating air warfare? Like people are dying in war? Aerial warfare promises a thrilling mix of advanced technology, evolving tactics, and daring feats of human ingenuity. Step into the exhilarating world. Again, I'm stepping in? What the fuck? This kind of shit is TommyKay reading. Aerial combat, where the sky is the ultimate battleground. Did we just read that? Wait, it's the same text again. What is TommyKay doing, eh? Great deep dive, bro. Jet fighters, my dear friends, have come a long way since their inception, evolving through 5 generations. Apparently, it was 5 generations. Interesting. With each bringing significant improvements in designs, avionics, and weapon systems, let's take a look at every single generation first. We're starting with the mid-1940s to 1950s with early fighter jets like the F-86 and the MiG-15. This has to be after World War II, I guess. So this is 5 generations of jet engines. This is not involving the propeller engines. They had basic avionics, no radars, and were armed with machine guns and cannons. They operated at subsonic speed due to the lack of afterburners. I think you can actually get these in HOI4, I think. They were in the Korea War. Oh, shit. Oh. Oh, shit, man. 86, that was the first American jet engine, which you think you can get in HOI4.
Pilot stole a fighter jet and escaped. Let me explain. During the early hours of
like all the content is just AI.
September 21st, 1953, no Kumsak got inside his MiG.
Son, are you jerking off again? What are you jerking off in? I hope you're not jerking off the dog. No Kumsak. Second generation, from the mid-1950s to the early 1960s, this generation introduced air-to-air radar, infrared and semi-active guided missiles, and radar warning receivers into aircraft such as the F-104 or MiG-21. This is the second generation. That looks already very Cold War, right? That already looks very, very Cold War. One time when I was younger, a fighter jet flew over me, and that was so crazy. Everybody was scared and going on the ground because it was such noise pressure. It was unbelievable. The third generation of the early 1960s, 1970s with improved maneuverability and enhancements to avionics and weapon systems. This generation introduced multi-role fighters like the F4 and Mirage 3. These aircraft allowed for beyond visual range engagements. F4. 1988. RAF-4 F4 Phantom. The Phantom. This guy was in... Oh, that looks already very modern. Okay, that looks very modern. There's 2 more generations after this. This guy crashed a lot. Oh, shit. And then the 4th generation until the late 80s, advancements continued with the development of fly-by-wire fighters like the FA-18 and the F-16. The F-16, I thought that's the newest one. These aircraft could switch between air-to-air and air-to-ground roles, blurring the distinction between mission types. And then until the 90s, due to budget constraints, some existing fighters were upgraded with stealth technology, radar-absorbent materials. Oh man. An advanced radar system. But we can't even build good roads, but we have this shit. New platforms like the Eurofighter Typhoon and the Dassault Rafale also emerged with these advanced characteristics. And finally, the 5th current generation of the F-22 Raptor marked the beginning of this new generation, followed by the designs like the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. These aircraft feature stealth technologies, improved situational awareness, and advanced software enabling them to maintain decision superiority over adversaries and ensure battle plan dominance. American culture, man. What are you doing today? We're going to the F-22 show. It's kind of sick, dude. That's a very fast takeoff, isn't it? Oh, that's fast, yeah. Damn, that looks like a transformer. Damn, he's getting altitude very fast, huh? That's Starscream. Oh my god, this guy. Every time I see war technology, it's like so advanced. But yet my phone needs a new charger every 3 years, bro. Innovations that may be incorporated from these cutting-edge fighters yet include the integration of unmanned technologies. So a big point, if we talk about the topic of the future of air warfare, seems to be unmanned applications and obviously AI, right? Modern aerial combat is quite different from what it used to be. These days, it's all about high-tech gadget, advanced avionics, and precision-guided ammunition. When combined with skillful aerial combat maneuvers, the modern jet fighter provides its pilot with an arsenal of capabilities. Here are some of the main technology advantages nowadays. Sophistication of the field radar. Advanced stealth technology and electronic countermeasures are employed to evade or confuse enemy radar systems, making it difficult for adversaries to detect and target aircraft in aerial combat. I wonder what that feels like. Like a video? I need videos because I'm autistic. The speed and maneuverability is higher. High speed and agile aircraft can outmaneuver opponents and evade threats, giving pilots the edge in dogfights and allowing them to quickly engage or disengage from combat situations. Was there any fighter jet fights in Ukraine? I don't know anything about that. Unmanned aerial vehicles and drones, UAVs or drones can perform reconnaissance, surveillance, and strike missions without putting human pilots at risk, and I think they're much cheaper, yeah. AI-powered decision-making and autonomous system enhance situation awareness, improving target accuracy, etc. AI is really the future, man. What do we have here? Fate of the Navy's FA-XX Future Fighter is in limbo. A futuristic fighter of the Navy. Look at this fucker, man. What the hell? This is some future shit. Thank you, Damien. Let's take a look at that shit.
Is the FA-XX, the new fighter jet that looks to replace the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II as the king of the skies.
An actual real video.
With military branches the world over looking to be the first to make a true 6th-gen stealth fighter, surprisingly, it's the Navy, not the Air Force.
So the world is kind of waiting for the 6th gen in a way. We can talk. We kind of said that.
Well, we do actually have a rough image that has been released to the public of the FA-XX's intended appearance.
You probably want to really be careful with stuff like that and not give it to your enemies, huh?
Will have a tailless blended wing body, or BWB design, where the wings blend into the fuselage without any vertical facing extremities. The engine inlets, meanwhile, appear to be fully recessed, with the prioritization on stealth that the FA-XX will be designed with the most advanced radar-absorbent composite materials available as well. But stealth isn't the only thing this new aircraft needs if it wants to be the new top dog in avionics. The FA-XX will need to correct more than a few issues that the current generation of stealth fighters are facing. In most jets, vertical tail surfaces assist with yaw control and increasing the maneuverability of the aircraft. Fifth-generation fighter jets often feature these, only with twin-canted tails in a V-shape. This helps reduce the fighter's radar cross-section, or RCS, basically how visible the aircraft is to radar. However, they still stand out as big visual cues to onlookers of a fighter jet's presence. And though the gaping engine inlets that these fighters also feature are necessary in creating thrust, they can also produce a resonance that's detectable to low-frequency arrays,
how much money is one of
making
these?
them detectable. Each F-35C cost the Navy around $117.
Oh, there you go. It's $170 million for one.
And that's not even taking into account the $1.3 trillion in life cycle costs that the F-35 program accumulates over the aircraft's 66-year life.
Isn't that just insanity? I mean, you need this stuff for deterrence, right? But imagine what you could do with that money, bro. Holy shit.
Lifespan. Not exactly
that is so
worth
mental.
it for outdated tech. While radar tech has certainly improved since the emergence of fifth-generation fighters, so has air denial, missiles, and other technologies that make it difficult for aircraft to even come close to enemy targets. The Chinese DF-21D was terrifying enough, as it was dubbed the world's first carrier killer and could launch a 600-kilogram payload up to 2,150 kilometers. But then came the DF-26B, which allegedly doubled everything at minimum, with a max payload of 1,800 kilograms at a reported range of up to 4,000 kilometers. And that's in addition to the DF-ZF, a hypersonic glide vehicle launched from the DF-17 that can travel at speeds ranging
this
from
one makes me kind of scared, man. Why does shit like this exist? Jesus Christ.
1,930
That's
kilometers.
so creepy.
Not only does China have this weaponry, but they also have them placed right at the heart of their A2AD, or anti-access area denial zones in the South China Sea, East China Sea, and the Strait of Taiwan. All are key strategic points to accessing the Chinese mainland and can pose a threat to anything within range. The F-35C has a flight range of around 1,200 nautical miles, meaning its combat range is only half that at 600 nautical miles. So, if any of these aircraft intended to engage in missions in Chinese territory, the launch point they would need
I like how all this tactical, fictional thinking revolves around fighting China.
have from the carrier
But
would already be
it's the
within
scenario
range
you
of
should
a
probably
number
think
of
about when you
Chinese
design this stuff.
countermeasures. Not only will the F/A-XX need to have better stealth capabilities than anything currently to penetrate deeper into foreign territory, but it will have to have a long enough combat range to be launched from a safe enough distance without exposing the aircraft carriers to hypersonic missiles and other threats. While 1,000 miles combat range may seem sufficient, as mentioned earlier, the DF-26B can allegedly reach an even further distance than the DF-21D.
Something I don't understand too much is, why do we care about the range of carriers? Can't the USA just go to airfields in Taiwan and southwest Japan? Okinawa and shit like this?
Endangering everything within
Well, then these airports get nuked, right?
500 miles if sources can be believed. By the time the new F/A-XX is developed, it will need to be able to combat these countermeasures as well as any future technologies that may be currently in development.
Look at that thing,
Most
man.
fifth-generation
Holy shit.
fighters use turbofan engines like the Pratt & Whitney F-135,
Alter.
in which
I'm always so impressed when we watch war videos about war technology, about that engineering.
the fans generate
Again, your phone breaks after 3 years. But we have this shit out, man?
most of the thrust. This has allowed the F-35 to achieve operational speeds of Mach 1.6 or around 1,200 miles per hour, even when bearing a full weapons load. Though original statements by the Air Force had us thinking that these engines would be the basis for the 6th-gen fighter power too, it has since revealed that the new engines will most likely be adaptive cycle engines, or ACE engines. In an ACE system, the engine has the ability to act like both a turbofan and a turbojet engine and will adapt its airflow in order to compensate for varying conditions.
Okay, this is too high IQ
This,
for me,
in
man.
theory, allows the system to optimize fuel efficiency while still maintaining speeds above Mach 2 and altitudes likely around 65,000 feet. While radars have proven useful over the years,
These
they
engines are
also
lame
have
done.
their issues. With advancing tech, radars themselves
is
have
that?
become detectable while actively scanning. Meanwhile, advanced radars that operate at
Is that a
very
moving
high frequencies,
cinema?
or VHF, have become adept at spotting stealth fighters like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35. Simply put, modern integrated air defense systems, or IADS, have made it increasingly difficult for stealth fighters to do anything of value
Imagine you're sitting in that plane and the rocket is coming your way.
putting
Fuck,
themselves
dude.
at risk too. The FAXX will have to evolve the already extensive suites of electronic and sensor technology present in the current generation of stealth fighters. An array of infrared search and track, or IRST systems, should seamlessly and passively search for heat signatures while not putting out a frequency of its own.
Dude, heat signatures are probably going to be such a big thing in World War III.
Able to execute a number of electronic attacks.
AI just looks at heat signatures and goes...
Like radar jamming. But the real kicker will be the way the aircraft is able to simultaneously share this data and coordinate with its small fleet of drones that will accompany it. Throughout the chase for 6th-generation stealth fighters, one thing that keeps being brought up...
It's like you're a necromancer in Skyrim. You have these undead minions around you.
...is the integration
of drones
of the
around
loyal
you.
wingman
Hey, we know that picture, chat.
concept, or collaborative
The loyal wingman concept.
aircraft.
Well, there you go. Future of air warfare. Loyal wingman concept. That seems to be the future.
Or CCA. In this idea, the manned FAXX would embark on its own mission with up to 4 accompanying drones, with each capable of executing a variety.
But these drones, how can a drone this small have the same speed if they don't have that super sick engine? Does the fighter jet have to slow down on purpose so the drones can keep up?
Actions.
Or he like, they're on them and then he like spreads them out like an insect?
Just try to imagine a world where a next-gen fighter jet is able to penetrate deep into enemy territory, sending ahead one drone to decommission any potential electronic threats, having another one trail to keep an eye on the squad's rear.
Well, there you go. There we have the future of air warfare right here.
Aircraft as
Stream is
potential
over.
decoys or defensive deterrents. With the use of AI, the 4 drones could independently perform their tasks without the FAXX pilot needing to distract themselves, leaving them to focus only on their target while the drones handle every other threat. Of course, the system will have human-in-the-loop control.
This really shows you why they're fighting so hard. Who makes the best AI right now?
So the pilot's input
the AI
will
is
still
going to
be
be such a big part.
Have to. Basically, everything that we've discussed today were the intentions for the NGAD. However, the initiative has been faced with a series of setbacks. The program has been faced with redesign after redesign, forcing many potential bidders like Northrop to back out. This has caused more problems in the form of funding issues, and while a few backers like Boeing and Lockheed Martin are still in, officials at these companies have threatened to back out if NGAD requirements continue to change.
Ach du Scheiße. Oh, that's creepy. Alter, imagine going for shit like this, bro. Another article I found is this one. The UK rolls out jammer drones to shield F-35s and Typhoons. The UK launched the Storm Shroud drone wingman. So when we talk about today's topic, the future of warfare, we hear that word wingman a lot, something you guys don't have. I'm your wingman. With these drones that actually accompany fighter jets. Drone wingmen designed to blind radars and draw fire away from far pricier manned aircraft like F-35 and Typhoon. This seems so intelligent to do that. The Storm Shroud combines the Tekavere AR-3 unmanned aerial vehicle with the Leonardo UK Brightstorm electronic warfare payload. The AR-3 has more than 10,000 hours of flight time in Ukraine. They use that. The AR-3 is actually used in Ukraine. AR-3. That little mini thing. That little thing. You're just a bunch of hobby people. No, that's not real military shit. So that's the emerging technology shaping air combat, AI-driven drones that explore how AI is revolutionizing drone capabilities, enabling autonomous mission and decision-making. While electronic warfare delves into the use of electronic warfare drones like the UK Storm Shroud. There we go, I did that already without reading that. I swear I didn't do that, I was checking that on my own. India and Pakistan Airlines engagement analyzed the recent clashes involving advanced fighter jets and the strategic use of UAV, but more importantly, the Ukraine conflict, which we have a video prepared for right now. Russia's also developing stuff, and we already have 2 bombing versions of those drones active.
The battlefield is buzzing with drones, but Russia never expected these. Not made of carbon fiber, not packed with space-age metal. These kamikaze drones tearing through Russian armor, they're made of wood. Crafted from plywood, guided by AI,
This video is 1 day
and
old.
financed by Germany, These loitering munitions are slamming into tanks, shredding radar systems, and punching holes in Russian lines. And they're doing it quietly, cheaply, and
I don't hear much from Ukraine lately. I just know Zelensky is in Istanbul right now, but Putin didn't come, that little pussy.
The world's fourth largest economy is helping Ukraine strike deep behind enemy lines, not with flashy jets or billion-dollar missiles, but with smart, swarming, wooden aircraft. It sounds absurd, but for Putin's forces on the ground, it's nothing short of a nightmare. By the end of 2024, the German government had made around $49 billion available in bilateral support for Ukraine. And there's every indication that the support will keep on arriving. On March 19th, the outgoing government agreed to release an additional $3.4 billion in military aid for Ukraine in 2025, after lawmakers approved plans for a fiscal overhaul. Scholz had insisted on easing borrowing rules for additional aid of this scale. Furthermore, former finance minister
the government in Germany is now finished for 1 week,
Kukis has outlined plans to authorize an additional $9.32 billion in military aid to Ukraine between 2026 and 2029, which would bring Germany's total commitment to over $12.4 billion. To date, German assistance has included 3 US-made Patriot, 6...
And I'm going to once again share my opinion, which makes some radicals unfollow, but this makes me proud of Germany. Germany is a country Germans are often not proud of. This makes me proud. I like that my taxpayer money goes there.
TSLM
I like
and
this
5
very
TSLS
and I think we're
air
not doing
defense
enough.
systems, and 60 Gepard self-propelled air defense gun systems, including 330,000 ammunition rounds, among a host of other weapons. But in recent months, it's been a less glamorous and much less costly form of assistance that's arguably been making the biggest difference on the battlefield.
Wear a helmet, man. Don't wear a fisher head,
bro. We're talking, of course, about
Jesus.
drones. On April 11th, acting German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius announced a new German military aid package at a meeting of the Ukraine contact group in Brussels.
There's a chance.
The package will include more guided missiles and ground surveillance radars, a further 100,000 rounds of artillery ammunition, 25 Marder infantry fighting vehicles, 15 Leopard 1A5 tanks, 120 man-powered
The thing about Ukraine really is that all sides are learning a lot. What works, what doesn't work. It's like a real-life training ground for all this equipment,
systems,
right?
14 artillery systems, and another 300 reconnaissance drones. In terms of reconnaissance drones alone, that means Germany has now delivered, or committed to deliver, 619 vector drones, 684 RQ-30.
Talking about drones, man. I was thinking of buying a drone for surveillance. I think this is a story. I'm going to be fast about this. Me and Lisa have first little concerns that we have a local pedophile. This is a bit unfair. There is this guy living in my neighborhood. I'm not going to go into much detail. He's a bit overweight, he's a bit older, and he's from a different country. No hate. And he always comes to us when we're on the playground or whatever, and he talks to all the kids. But we fought for a while, and we still think that he's just mentally impaired. He seems a bit simple, right? But he like drives a car and stuff, so I don't know about that. So this morning I bring my kid to kindergarten, and I know the guy, right? I know him, and he's stopping his car next to us, and he ignores me and is just talking to my kid, right? He's like, "Hello, little man. How you doing, little man? You going to kindergarten, little man?" And he's like ignoring me, only talking to him. And that was the first time I was like, "Buddy, man." He always talks to us in the playground, and it's very awkward. All the parents are like, So it's getting weird. I literally, I texted, I put down his license plate. And it's a weird situation because we don't know if he's just mentally impaired. Me and Lisa talked about this, and we want to, the next time he talks to my kid, we're going to be like, talk to me, not to my kid. Don't ignore me, right? But it's weird, right? You can't call the police on someone like this. You don't know if really something's going, maybe he's just a bit mental. I said to Lisa, in my experience from 34 years, you should always take this stuff serious. You have to always be a bit careful. But yeah, that's why I had a bit of a bad mood earlier today. Because I just felt like I have to care about this now. Like we're on the playground and he like walks by and he's like talking to all the kids. And he's like nice, right? He's just like, "Hello, little man, you doing good?" And all the parents are like, and it's weird. What if he's just a nice guy, right? You don't know. It's hard, man.
These drones have undoubtedly been a huge boost to Ukraine's armed forces. They're invaluable for identifying offensive targets for Ukraine's artillery and attack drones to obliterate, as well as helping to spot and thwart Russian attacks. But Germany has also supplied Ukraine with some of its most advanced attack drones. And it's these that are starting to give the Russian President Vladimir Putin serious
Talk to him to get to know more? That's actually a great idea. Talk to him to get to know more. That's a great idea.
We're talking about the HF1 loitering munition made by the German company Helsing. These drones are packed.
There's a German company called Helsing?
But perhaps their most striking feature is that their frames are made from simple plywood. According to reports from troops in the field, HF-1s are being used against a variety of targets, from armored vehicles and air defense systems to logistics and warehouses. And with an effective operating distance of 27 to 31 miles, Ukrainian drone operators say that HF-1s are delivering very unpleasant surprises to the Russians, as they can reach calmer places behind the front lines where they're not expected. This allows the operators to catch targets like parked vehicles or troops before their rotation to the front line unguarded. As noted, the HF-1 is mainly made of plywood, which reduces the weapon's...
That's something I always thought about, right? The problem of wars, it's all very, very expensive. So if you find ways to make effective equipment that gets a lot done while it's very cheap, clever as fuck, man.
Production cost. But as one operator explains, the material from which the plane is made does not matter in principle, and you can use any material as long as it flies. It can be made of wood or foam, completely printed on a 3D printer, and so on. The aircraft doesn't care. In our case, being made of wood makes it even better because it's radar transparent and better suited for operations at long distances. Now, wood isn't completely invisible to radar, especially advanced modern radar systems. The US's best-in-class THAAD system, for example, is said to be able to track a baseball thrown in New Orleans from a location in New York. So
Shut up! Shut up!
But wood does significantly reduce the radar signature, which is especially true if low moisture wood is used. Plywood isn't particularly low moisture per se, as it can absorb moisture from the air and change its dimensions and strength properties accordingly, but can be treated with special adhesives and coatings to improve its resistance to water damage and absorption. And that seems to be the case with the HF-1. Its plywood fuselage reduces radar visibility and acts as a heat insulator, lowering the drone's infrared signature and making it harder for air defenses to detect and engage, whether by radar, heat-seeking missiles or gun systems. And despite its unconventional construction, the wooden body has no negative impact on flight performance. According to the German Ministry of Defense, 1,050 HF-1s have already been delivered to Ukraine.
I didn't know
there
that.
are 600 that are known to have been delivered in January, and 150 were delivered between March 17th and April 18th. Helsing, the German defense tech startup backed by Spotify's Daniel Ek and others, started as an AI software company but pivoted into strike drones in 2024. It now claims, with some justification, to be one of the largest strike drone manufacturers globally. Helsing produces a mix of hardware and software.
So Germany is doing not too bad, huh?
Including its
we have a big
ultra
drone
platform
manufacturer?
that
I didn't
connects
know that.
drones.
Spotify
We solve the hard
drones.
problems in the software layer, not the electronics, as co-founder Nicholas Kohler puts it. And their solution certainly seems to be making a difference on the battlefield. Combat footage from Belgorod Oblast from mid-April reveals how the Ukrainians successfully utilized HF-1s to destroy Russian Pantsir S-1 and Buk M3 radar systems, conducting the strikes at least 30 miles behind the front lines. HF-1 drones have also been used to eliminate key personnel like officers and commanders, as evidenced by a strike on a vehicle at a Russian training ground which reportedly belonged to a unit commander. The HF-1 is electrically powered and features an X-wing configuration, 4 wings and rotors in an X-shaped arrangement. It's designed to be cost-effective for mass production and has been developed and tested based on Helsing's extensive experience in Ukraine. Indeed, the latest upgrades are being carried out in conjunction with Ukraine's armed forces. As noted earlier, the drone is capable of flying for about an hour and has an operational loitering range of 27 to 31 miles, and up to 62 miles when directed at a known target. Ukrainian forces can operate the HF-1 drone manually, guiding it toward present targets and relying on terminal guidance to bypass Russian electronic warfare in the final phase of the flight. However, it's also equipped with onboard AI that can autonomously detect, identify, and lock onto targets. As our drone operator explains, our drone is equipped with a homing system that helps to capture a target and lock until it's hit. This is a plus because if we lose contact with the drone, the video signal or control, the drone reaches the target and strikes it. Elaborating further, he said, in homing mode, the aircraft is not affected by electronic warfare, which the enemy vehicle might be carrying. From the moment the target is locked on, the aircraft takes control and gets to the target independently, with a range of up to 62 miles and an even longer strike distance. Advanced onboard AI enables full electronic warfare and jamming resistance. The company says those capabilities were developed and tested through its extensive experience with the HF-1 in Ukraine. Moreover, when operating as part of Helsing's Ultra Recce Strike software, multiple HX-2s can assemble into swarms, controlled by a single human operator. That allows one operator to simultaneously target entire convoys or group targets. HX2 has been designed to be mass-producible at significantly lower cost per unit than conventional systems, thus providing a powerful complement to artillery systems. As Kohler notes, with HX2 we are creating a new smart effector category that combines mass, autonomy, and precision. Individual HX2s can reliably engage armored targets.
What I always hate in the army is you had so much armor on. I know it's important to protect you, but I always felt I was very clunky and slow when I was in full gear with Kevlar and shit. I always felt I'd rather be fast and agile.
According to the company, HX2 is already in production, and the core technology is already deployed in Ukraine. Alongside the Helsing deliveries, Ukraine is also ramping up domestic production of the US-designed Switchblade 600 drones, a lighter-to-carry alternative to Javelin anti-tank missiles at half the cost. Also a
well, there you go. What's the future of warfare drones?
Loitering munition. The warhead detonates above the target where the armor is weakest, making it highly effective against
This is just a shopping list video of
With
drones?
a range of 25 to 50 miles and over 40 minutes of flight time, it's already proven its effectiveness by destroying Russia's most advanced armor, the T-90M tanks and Terminator BMPs. The drone could be carried in a backpack, set up and operational in less than 10 minutes, and is equipped with class-leading high-resolution EOIR gimbaled sensors and advanced precision flight control. These features enable operators to fly, track, and engage non-line-of-sight targets and armored vehicles with precision, lethal effects. If effectively employed, these loitering munitions could seriously disrupt Russian logistics and planning, and potentially play a critical role in dismantling Russia's predicted summer offensive before it begins. On March 6th, the UK government announced that it will be funding the delivery of cutting-edge Altius 600M and Altius 700M loitering munitions.
So it's interesting how after 3 years it becomes apparent that the shipment of drones is a very, very big help.
From Anglo-American
in the
defense
first month, nobody was really
Anduril.
thinking about
the
that.
UK has already provided over 10,000 military drones to Ukraine.
Warfare will be boring in the future, lol. Can we get a lol? Warfare is boring in the future, lol. Let's put lol in the chat, man. Very lol.
What makes these advanced drones so special? The Altius 600M is a multi-purpose unmanned system with a modular design,
Alter, these
capable
cool
of carrying
names.
a payload of up to 6.6 pounds. It can be equipped with various payloads ranging from warheads for kamikaze drone operations to advanced optical stations and electronic warfare systems. The larger 700M can carry warheads as heavy as 30.
Fake news, they're still fighting in Toretsk. I don't know much about Ukraine right now. I don't want to get involved.
3
I have no
pounds.
idea what's going
With
on.
a wingspan of 8.33 feet, the drone quickly deploys after being launched from the system, after which its rear-mounted engine with the
They should
two-blade
drop porn on
propeller
the
is
North
activated.
Korean soldiers.
Both the Altius 600M and 700M are capable of being launched from fixed-wing or rotor-wing aircraft at low or high altitudes, as well as from ground vehicles and watercraft. It's controlled by an operator from a ground control station or can operate autonomously along a pre-programmed route. According to Militani, it can stay airborne for up to 4 hours and cover a distance of up to 276 miles. The drones are actually adaptations of Anduril's Altius 600 and 700 small drones. Ukraine has been using the 600
like
since
a
at least
dragonfly
February
almost,
2023, and a few of these locally produced drones are even being made from wood. Russia has a basic wooden drone of its own in regular use on the front lines, the Molniya, or Lightning, fixed-wing FPV drone. While it must be carried by 3 soldiers in 10 pieces in their backpacks, it is reportedly very light, easy to assemble, and carries a low cost for a drone of its kind. It's launched using a pneumatic catapult, can operate for up to 40 minutes with a range of up to 18.6 miles, can reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour, and is designed not to come back. The fuselage is made of 2 longitudinal aluminium tubes, but the rest, including the center section and wings, is made of plywood. The control systems, electronics, and batteries are stored inside, and there is a camera in the nose that transmits video signals to the operator's glasses. Simple design, with its low cost and high combat effectiveness, is now being copied by Ukraine, using captured examples to take the best features from the Russian version. If the Ukrainian variant mirrors the Russian drone accurately, it'll replicate its 5-foot wingspan, 22-pound weight, and its combat load capability of up to 11 pounds.
So we come to a lot of conclusions here, man, that just talks about the future of warfare is being autonomous warfare drones, right? What do you think of soldiers using GoPros and filming the brutality? I think you all know what I'm saying now, that when the Ukraine war started, I did a lot of doom scrolling. I was watching everything, all the videos, all the footage. And honestly, I don't think I have a hard time watching this. I can still sleep afterwards. It is gruesome and terrifying and stressful what these people go through on both sides. It's ridiculous that human beings have to go through the stress because of stupid shit like Putin deciding to invade and stuff. It's just sad. But on the other hand, man, I'm gonna say something pretty raw. I in a weird way, always respectfully watched and sometimes still watch Ukraine warfare, because I feel like, here we go, this is gonna be sounding weird, but I feel like it's a bit of preparation. I feel like it's natural selection evolution thingy. I feel like by watching Ukrainian warfare, I kind of understand a bit. Okay, so this is how I have to behave in World War III. Okay, this guy died because he did this wrong. This, and then this happened, and this, and that, and this. He didn't check the corner, blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. In a weird way, and maybe this just fucked up in my head, but I would watch warfare and learn from it and be like, okay. So this is how you have to actually do it, and this is how you don't do it. Yeah, it's obviously very deep shit, man. Like real life war. That's deep fucking shit, man.
The U.S. military has launched a new school to train American armed forces in how to counter the emerging threat of drones.
Oh, it's a university?
1,000 troops.
Hey, I'm going to uni, man. Oh, what do you study? Economics? I study how to kill drones.
In a general direction of the target.
This looks like from a movie.
And then the soldier
that fucking works.
Utilize various jamming means.
Okay, here we have real footage. EDM4S. Oh shit. You shoot that thing even. Okay, that's the fucking future, man. Holy shit. How the fuck's that real? Jesus Christ. They literally used it on the Pope's funeral. They used... What the fuck? Alter, we're living in the future. They did that to stop drones. What do we have here? The Air Force prediction for the future of warfare, though. Future of warfare, that could work.
The Air Force released its 22-page vision of the future of air warfare, and a new...
I was like, why do you release that? Shouldn't that all be classified? If I'm the USA, I'm gonna tell nobody about anything. Fuck the public. Maybe it's because you want to make them happy about their taxes? That's what Russia does? That's what I like when Trump got elected the first time. They were like, where's the carrier groups? And he said, listen, Obama, he told you where the carriers are. I'm never going to tell anyone. I'm telling nobody where the carriers are. I walked in here, I said, wow, where are the carriers?
Simply,
don't tell anyone, bro.
Air Force in 2050.
But yeah, deterrence, yeah.
The rapidly changing landscape of air
and probably
warfare,
public support.
Including the need for a fundamental shift in the way the United States goes about designing and procuring new combat aircraft like fighters, emphasizing the need to dramatically increase both the number and range of new jets entering service due to the persistent and growing threat of long-range cruise and ballistic missile strikes on forward air bases. And those aren't the only threats the Air Force is concerned about, with predictions of adversaries fielding air defense interceptors that can bring down aircraft at 1,000-mile ranges, China's nuclear arsenal ballooning to thousands of
missile in his home, but that means he probably knows what he's talking about.
Of conventional missile strikes on the U.S. mainland, the Air Force paints a picture of America at a crossroads, with two potential paths forward. The first is a Defense Department and lawmaker class
this makes me want to watch Top Gun.
Continues to resist change, that keeps old and obsolete weapons and aircraft in service well beyond their useful lifespans for political reasons, and that aims to win the next big conflict by preparing for the last one. This path, the Air Force warns, will lead to an outdated air power apparatus in 2050 that looks a lot like the one the Air Force has in service today. But the Air Force also outlines another possible path, one that's willing to embrace fundamental changes in the way America conducts air warfare, from the earliest stages of designing new systems all the way to their employment on the battlefield. Put simply,
Jesus Christ, that looks like I think that's an official Lockheed Martin commercial video.
Actually unveiled its first drone carrier, dubbed Marder Baman Bagari. According to Iranian state media reports, this ship can carry as many as 60 drones and operate at sea for up to a year.
Oh, drone carriers. Yeah, that makes so much sense. It's a, look how simple that carrier looks, but it makes so much sense. A drone carrier.
As a repurposed commercial vessel that would absolutely
that makes so much sense.
Fairly complex replenishments at sea for both fuel and
what the fuck? It's little toys. Look at this.
To support its crew. Then stealth aircraft were photographed being tested over China, prompting a flood of media coverage.
China could beat us to the punch to a 6th-gen fighter, Air Force officials warn. I don't know if I'm really dumb here. I might be fucking retarded, but I'm always a bit careful with these dictatorships like Russia and China. They always act really, they're very scary, whoa. But then reality hits, right? Russia invades Ukraine. Oh no, they can't take it. We now have the Chinese anti-air systems in Pakistan, which fully fucking failed when the Indians attacked. And I'm always a little bit like, this is the strength of China, but how much is real strength? I always wonder. I don't know the answer, but
speculation about the capabilities these jets could provide the Pacific
but when the world is
nations.
like, yeah, China has the best fighter jet ever. Oh my god, do they?
And how these hypothetical threats
Made in
stack
China?
up against America's existing
you,
ability
Yanni.
to defend against them. As we've discussed on this channel before, that discourse was, for the most part, more about internet hyperbole and sensationalism than a concrete understanding
What I just said, that guy gets
of
me.
what these platforms would ultimately be able to do. After all, these test flights may point to China's air warfare priorities, but even the most optimistic timelines still place them years away from service, if indeed they ever even get
That's
there.
what I mean. You read these articles and these headlines, and it's like, oh wow, oh god, China has a guinea pig monster. Oh my god.
During my recent trip to NORAD and SpaceCom a few months ago,
cool.
this was among the few points echoed throughout every meeting I attended. Now, I wasn't allowed
Wait, this guy goes to
record while
meetings? Dude, this guy goes to meetings. How fucking cool is that? Sometimes I feel like it must be very easy to be a Russian spy in the US. Hello, how you doing? So, you know, I'm trying to figure stuff out about the new fighter jet. Oh, don't worry, mate. I got it all right here. 22 pages. We're trying to get it, but the Congress is saying no. It's gonna have this, and that. It's gonna be fucking sick. You can play the Wakanda right now, buddy.
Paraphrase how this point was conveyed, it went something like, China is not the Taliban. They are a well-funded and highly motivated adversary with significant resources and rapidly expanding capabilities to bring to bear. Now, this point was often followed by another, even more unnerving statement that Northcom values so much, they painted it on the wall. The homeland is no longer a sanctuary. And the Air Force's assessment of the next
deep, man.
quarter century in air warfare echoes this sentiment directly in a number of important ways. I'll quote the report now. China's massive investment in air, land, and sea-launched medium-range systems and systems that reach the so-called second island chain and beyond have already put traditional Air Force systems and operating concepts at risk. We can
Even from
only
space, yeah.
expect this trend to continue.
That would probably be a thing like 50 years, that there are satellites around and they could drop weapons and stuff, and now you have to care about destroying
50,
enemy
we should
satellites and
expect
shit.
to be under threat of ultra-long-range precision weapons at any range and launched from any domain, including space. There will be no sanctuary from these weapons. Even a largely localized conflict will come to the US homeland, and not only through the possible use of long-range precision kinetic
Makes it
weapons
interesting if you
against
think
our
like if
territory.
some crazy lunatics like ISIS could ever get their hands on like a long-range missile and throw it into
Critical
LA or some shit,
military
right?
and non-military infrastructure,
But you will think there's
as
a
well
defense
as
against that.
Human cognition itself will be at risk of kinetic and non-kinetic attack in cyber and information domains. This will affect military operations conducted by the Air Force and Space Force, but also have a broader societal impact. In other words, the Air Force paints a stark picture of military competition in 2050. One defined not by highly maneuverable fighters squaring off in dynamic dogfights, but rather by long-range munitions raining havoc down on once seemingly out-of-reach targets with enough precision and
Shows urban
regularity
neighborhood.
to upend America's current approach to force projection. Even in the air, a domain long dominated by the United States, the Air Force views establishing lasting air superiority over contested regions of the globe in 2050 as something that may only be achievable in localized areas for short periods of time, with air assets being used to police these spaces under constant threat from rapidly advancing surface-to-air missiles. As the Air Force sees it, forward-located fixed air bases where the United States can mass air power for prolonged combat operations will no longer be a viable option as long-range strikes mounted by ballistic, cruise, and
I just had a weird idea. If I was an American scientist, here's what I will do. It just came to me. So we have the Pacific Ocean, right? We're trying to get close to China. I would create submarine carriers. So you have a submarine, huge submarine, and it's flat on the top. And so the Chinese, when they're throwing grenades and stuff, they're like scary, but I'm hidden underwater. And then we're like, okay, now we go. So we go up. I have a floating airfield. And now the jets jump from like Pearl Harbor. They come over. They come over for this for time. But then you can't really take them with you, right? And then you refuel them, you attack, and then you retreat everything again. Underwater carriers, so they can arrive wherever they want.
For sonic missiles,
they're exploring this concept right now.
Kamikaze drones,
I just know my things.
Into...
And actually, no. You keep the airplanes inside. And then you, like, lift them up, so you don't even have to, like, bring them anywhere. Bro. TommyKay I just fixed it all.
Air forces that depend on a small number of easily targeted forward air bases will not be viable in 2050 and may not be viable today. Similarly, counter-air weapons with ranges out to over 1,000 miles and supported by space-based sensors will place aircraft such as tankers that have traditionally operated with impunity at risk. Now, it's worth noting that surface-to-air missiles with 1,000-mile ranges would represent a massive change in how air defense operations play out. And as that report highlights, they would all but certainly have to be supported through space-based sensors in order to be viable. Today's most advanced air defense systems often rely on multiple radar arrays broadcasting on different frequencies to identify, track, and eventually target threats at ranges into the hundreds of miles. But line of sight and the curvature of the Earth make extending that reach much further with surface-based radars pretty unlikely. Despite the commonalities between these systems, Russian and Chinese air defenses come with different strengths and weaknesses, with Russian systems generally believed to be more integrated with one another, but China's more broadly distributed and generally more mobile. Neither nation, however, currently has the publicly disclosed means to engage airborne threats from any greater than 250 miles or so at best, or to even be able to identify them at greater ranges than maybe 370 or so miles. But the Air Force clearly believes one, if not both of these nations, will be able to quadruple their interceptor range and marry that capability to precision target tracking from space-based sensors within the next 2.5 decades. This seismic shift in the Air Force's envisioned doctrine, the 2050 report states, must come with a similarly significant change to the makeup of America's aircraft fleets. In such a future battle space, the Air Force sees relatively short-legged, but otherwise very capable fighters, like even the F-22 Raptor, as increasingly irrelevant. I'll quote the report again. Penetrating bombers will still have utility for nuclear deterrence, but large numbers of penetrating bombers escorted by fighters capable of penetrating heavily defended airspace will have limited utility, especially given the potential availability of cost-effective standoff and loitering weapons. While the reasoning behind this assessment isn't off base, it does sound uncomfortably like similar assessments put forth in the 50s and 60s, as intercontinental ballistic missiles seem to render America's bomber and fighter fleets unnecessary. After all, if you can take out a target from the other side of the globe with a single missile, why bother building aircraft to fly all the way there and duke it out in the sky? However, this is one area where I'm inclined to disagree with the Air Force's conclusions. In 25 years, China may indeed have sufficient long-range strike capabilities to force the United States to operate over strategic rather than tactical ranges. But in a world that'll still have literally thousands of fourth-generation fighters in service all across the globe, as well as the inevitable localized conflicts breaking out that don't present the same
This is the longest I've ever been quiet, but I don't have much to say. He's explaining this very perfectly.
Massing a stockpile of single-use munitions with specific capabilities tailored for a high-end fight makes as little sense in 2050 as it does today.
This is the perfect video for the topic
whether
today.
crewed
Yeah.
or
The guy's
uncrewed,
doing great.
not only offer much greater flexibility than single-use munitions, they also offer important reusability, dramatically bringing down the cost of delivering ordnance to targets. Drone swarms, for instance, may be very effective at engaging certain types of targets, but they're not reusable, meaning the question isn't how many drones can you buy for the price of an F-35, but rather, how many drones would you need to buy to engage as many targets as a single F-35 can throughout its 8,000-hour service life? Likewise, building a massive
Why do they only have
stockpile
8,000 hours of service
high-end,
life?
low observable, single-use missiles will always present a greater cost than building reusable aircraft capable of delivering much lower-cost munitions to their target area.
That's something that becomes very apparent and interesting since Ukraine wars, that in modern warfare, you have to look at this. If you have $1 million as a country, how can you use these $1 million the most effective? It's about a lot of cost effectiveness now, right? You shouldn't think about more, let's buy a $1 trillion fighter jet. It's not working like that anymore. You gotta be cost effective.
Need to carry sufficient
and that's why drones are such a big asset.
Systems and fuel stores to cover that distance. They need advanced onboard guidance capabilities to reach far-flung
It's like the IC in HOI4, yeah.
precision. And they need to carry their own low observable design characteristics, stealth coatings, and sometimes even countermeasures, all just to be destroyed upon impact with the target. An F-35 flying into contested airspace could theoretically take out similar targets with a $200,000 small diameter bomb. 3 times
$200,000 for a bomb, bro.
Years, with a lower cost of operations and much less strain.
How can a bomb be $200,000? I'm sorry, I'm a fucking retard. So you buy some alloy, some kind of fucking, I don't fucking know. So that's the bomb. So first of all, we have like the shell. A bunch of metals, $10. Okay, you fucking find it behind Walmart. Then you put TNT in the middle. TNT can't be that fucking crazy. Let's say $20,000 of TNT. Boom. $25,000.
Despite my reservations about the Air Force's reliance on long-range missiles, I can't dispute the validity of their next point, which is that the Air Force is going to have to transition away from maintaining large numbers of tactical jets and small numbers of long-range aircraft to the inverse, maintaining a smaller number of short-range jets and much larger numbers of long-range platforms. Now, according to public records, in 2024, the U.S. Air Force, including the Air Force Reserves, maintained a total long-range bomber fleet of 141 aircraft, including 45 B-1B Lancers and 20 B-2 Spirits, already slated for retirement in the 2030s, and 50
oh, they're already getting retired, man.
B-8 B-52s, each providing unrefueled combat ranges of between 3,000 and maybe 7,000 miles. Now, these bombers account for about 2.6% of the branch's total number of aircraft, and with 100 B-21 Raiders currently on order to replace retiring
they're replaying them with the new version.
This number will rise to 158, or about 3%. Now, conversely, in 2024, the Air Force also maintained a fleet of 2,093 fighters of various types, including the National Guard and Reserves.
Damn, that's
These
a lot, man.
Represent the backbone of the Air Force's weapon delivery capabilities.
Now you know why these are public stats, because it makes you scared. As Russia, if you're like, oh, okay, they have 2K?
And offer combat ranges from as little as 340 miles in the case of the F-16C with a full combat load, to as much as around 790 miles in the F-15EX. In a stark contrast to the long-range bomber fleet, these aircraft account for just shy of 40% of the Air Force's aircraft inventory. Acknowledging the reality of long-range missile strikes holding forward air bases at risk, and 1,000-mile interceptors.
So I like this guy. It's a great video. But he looks like he's in pain when he's talking. He's like, hi, guys, to them. And he's like, hey, guys, how are you doing, guys? We're going to talk about this.
Tanker operations
he's so tense, bro.
Too dangerous anywhere near Chinese shores. There's simply
this makes you want to play Broken Arrow, man.
Fact that America's fighters don't offer enough range to continue to serve as the
when is Broken Arrow coming out, man?
In the future environment.
I want to play Broken Arrow, man.
According to the report, this issue
this guy's issue to stop playing hardcore lore
that aren't viable for future fights. Platforms like the A-10 Thunderbolt II.
19th of June? Fuck yeah, man.
Of long-range platforms like the B-21 or a follow-on design beyond the 100 currently on order, and in the near term, relying more on standoff weapon releases from transport or cargo aircraft, which one could argue is a direct reference to Lockheed Martin's Rapid Dragon concept in all but name. The report also highlights the importance of continuing to advance
Rapid Dragon, that sounds so
meant
cool.
to allow for greater survivability in these long-range platforms, or even fielding entirely new ones as the threat environment changes. This focus on extremely long-range operations could possibly even explain some of the backroom hesitance to move forward with the Air Force's next-generation air dominance.
That makes so much sense. Like the circle of we began the stream with looking at the 6th generation planned by the Navy to make the 6th generation fighter, and it makes sense to maybe not go into that, right? With everything you just explained. The circle of the stream is closing now.
High-ranking official who I won't name out of respect for them recently told me that once you extend the range requirements for a fighter like NGAD to a certain point, the requisite size of the aircraft due to fuel storage alone starts skirting into bomber territory. And with a new multi-role bomber already moving into production that realistically is capable of serving as the same command node for forthcoming AI-enabled drone fighters, the price point of that big bomber-sized fighter starts to look less and less appealing. To put it simply, on a long enough timeline, the Air Force seems to believe all combat aircraft will become bombers of a sort. Now,
long-range target hitting seems to be the future. The fighter jets themselves don't have the range and are not valuable enough to intercept these big missiles. We saw how unmanned and autonomous systems are going to be important. Drones, obviously, the big future of warfare since they're so affordable. We talked about this really cool wingman system, how you have manned fighter jets like the F-35 that will interact with a small drone fleet around it, scanning ahead, defending. That seems to be a great thing. Precision weapons, hypersonic weapons, anti-drone measures, AI-driven decision-making, and last but not least, as I'm totally not reading from ChatGPT here, that air superiority also equals info superiority of satellite sensors, maybe even the hacking, stuff like that. And that seems to be the future of air warfare. Gentlemen, that was my future of air warfare deep dive. Baylor's 100 gifted sub deep dives. I actually did a motherfucking sub goal for once. Hey, man.